Let's face it, the sheer number of words in English, you hear these huge figures like 170,000, maybe even 220,000. It can feel a little, well, overwhelming if you're trying to get a better handle on things.
Oh, absolutely. It's understandable, that vastness. It can seem like a huge hurdle when you just want to improve your understanding and, how easily you can express yourself.
Exactly. So for this deep dive, we're doing something a bit different. We're not getting bogged down in dictionaries or anything. Our mission really is to cut through all that complexity and just zero in on 20 essential English words. These are the real workhorses, for everyday conversation.
The ones you actually use.
Yeah. Think of this as your shortcut, sort of, to feeling more confident, more comfortable, whether you're listening or trying to get your own thoughts across.
Absolutely. We're not looking at obscure terms that hardly ever come up. The real power comes from mastering these fundamental building blocks. They really form the foundation of daily communication.
And our guide for this, it's a really helpful YouTube channel called English in Comfort. Their whole thing is about learning naturally through the kind of conversations you hear every day, which lines up perfectly with what we're trying to do here.
It's a great resource, because it emphasizes practical language, in real-world contexts.
So what's the big takeaway for you listening in? Well, by truly understanding and, importantly, being able to use these 20 words effectively, you're going to see a real difference.
A noticeable difference.
In how well you grasp what people are saying and how easily you can articulate your own thoughts. In all sorts of everyday situations, chatting with family, friends, at work, even just ordering food.
Those core interactions.
Right. Okay, let's dive in, starting with our first word, obviously.
Obviously. Okay, so at its core, this word just means something is clear, easy to see, readily apparent.
Like saying anyone can see this.
Exactly.
So when you say, obviously it's cold outside, you're pointing out something the chill in the air makes, well, obvious, undeniable. Or, she's obviously tired. You're suggesting the signs may be yawning, rubbing her eyes are plain for anyone to see.
Right. The evidence is there.
But here's a little tip, maybe. Use obviously with a touch of caution. Sometimes what seems obvious to you might not be to someone else.
That's a really good point.
And using it could maybe sound a little dismissive accidentally. It works best when the shared understanding is really evident.
That's crucial, yeah. The key usage is when you believe the listener already sees or gets the fact you're stating. You're kind of establishing that shared view based on what's right there.
The video gave a perfect little example. It's obviously going to rain. Look at all those dark clouds.
Classic example.
And the response is, yeah, I see them. I didn't bring an umbrella, though. See how obviously just highlights that shared, clear observation about the weather.
Exactly. It functions to create that immediate sense of agreement based on something visible to everyone. It's quite efficient, really.
Okay, moving on. Our second essential word, eventually.
Eventually. Right. This one means something will happen after some time. Or, in the end. It suggests a future certainty, even if it's not immediate.
Right, like saying, I'll eventually finish this book. It might be slow going, but the expectation is you'll get to the end.
Or the rain will eventually stop. Even if it's pouring now, you anticipate it won't last forever.
So the core idea is that it addresses something that isn't happening right now.
Exactly. But is projected to happen later, at some point in the future.
The practice example from the source illustrates this well. If we leave now, we'll eventually catch the bus.
Okay.
And the reply is, true, the trip is slow, but we'll eventually arrive. It really highlights that future outcome getting there, despite the slow journey now. It speaks to patience, maybe.
I think so. And it often implies a kind of inevitability over time. A point that will be reached through some process.
Makes sense. Okay, our third essential word in the toolkit. Worthwhile.
Worthwhile. So this describes something that justifies the time or the effort or the money you put into it.
It feels useful, rewarding.
Yeah, exactly. It has a value that outweighs the cost, basically.
Like learning English is worthwhile. The time and energy, you expect them to bring rewards like better jobs or connecting with people.
Right. Or the trip was worthwhile. Maybe it was long, expensive, but the experiences made it feel valuable later.
And it's quite personal too, isn't it? What one person finds worthwhile, another might not. Depends on your values.
Precisely. The core is that balance. The input, time, effort, cost versus the perceived benefits or rewards you get out.
The example from the video really nails this trade-off. This recipe takes hours, but the cake is so delicious, it's totally worthwhile.
The effort for the reward.
And the response. I agree, homemade food is always worthwhile. You really feel that justification, right? The delicious cake makes the hours spent okay.
It does. And thinking bigger, it connects to how we invest our resources, doesn't it? We want activities that give positive returns, whether it's a tasty cake or, learning a skill.
Good point. Moving on to word number 4, tendency.
Tendency. Okay, this refers to a habit or a natural way of behaving or just an inclination for something to happen.
Like saying, this usually happens.
Pretty much. It suggests a pattern or that something usually occurs in a certain way.
So if you say, he has a tendency to forget his keys, it implies this happens often, it's a recurring thing.
Right, not just a one-off.
Or, I have a tendency to drink too much coffee in the morning, describes a regular pattern. We probably all have a few tendencies.
I think we do. The key to understanding tendency is just recognizing these repeated actions, these patterns in behavior or events.
The example from the video is great, very relatable. My phone has a tendency to die when I need it most.
Oh, definitely relatable.
And the response, mine too. I have a tendency to forget to charge it. It's just a perfect illustration of a common recurring thing many of us probably recognize, maybe even laugh about.
It is. And it's interesting how we notice these tendencies in ourselves and others, sometimes with, a bit of amusement or maybe resignation.
Okay, 5th word, exhausted.
Exhausted. This means extremely tired, much stronger than just tired.
Like really drained.
Exactly. Completely drained of energy, physically, often mentally too.
So I'm exhausted after working all day. You get that deep level of tiredness from effort.
Or the hike left us exhausted implies the activity just totally wiped them out, depleted their energy.
The feeling is much stronger than just being tired, definitely.
The intensity is key here. It means being totally out of energy, maybe even finding it hard to function properly.
The practice example really emphasizes that severity. I stayed up late studying. I'm exhausted today. And the response points out the consequence. You should rest. Exhausted people can't focus well. It really highlights how debilitating that level of fatigue can be.
It does. And it brings up the whole idea of our energy limits, doesn't it? And how necessary rest and recovery are for our well-being, our focus.
True. Okay, let's move to number 6. Effective.
Effective. This describes something that works well. It produces the result you intended or wanted.
So it's practical. Successful.
Yeah. It achieves its purpose. Like, this app is effective for learning vocabulary. It means it actually helps you learn words successfully.
Okay. Or wearing a mask is effective against dust. It does its job. It protects you.
Exactly. The core of effective is that direct link between something, an action, a tool, a method, and its successful outcome, achieving a specific goal.
The example from the video is pretty clear. Taking notes is an effective way to study.
A common one.
And the agreement. True, it's more effective than just reading. It highlights how one method leads to a better, more successful result.
Right. And if you think broadly, it connects to our constant search for the best ways, the most successful ways to get things done in life.
Finding what works. Okay, word number 7 is appropriate.
Appropriate. This means suitable, fitting, or right for a specific situation, or context, or purpose.
So it's about fitting in, following the rules or expectations.
Basically, yes. Adhering to norms, rules, expectations. Think about jeans aren't appropriate for a job interview.
Right, the formal setting demands something else.
Exactly. Or that joke wasn't appropriate for the meeting. It didn't fit the professional tone. Understanding what's appropriate often means picking up on those unspoken social cues.
That can be tricky sometimes.
It can. The key is understanding the specific context and the expectations that go with it, whether they're formal rules or just, informal social norms.
The practice example clarifies it. Is it appropriate to wear sandals to a wedding?
Okay.
And the likely answer, thinking about formal events, is probably not. Shoes like that aren't appropriate for formal events. It emphasizes understanding that level of formality.
It does. And it touches on social intelligence, doesn't it? Our ability to read situations and respond to those implicit rules.
Good point. Number 8, necessary.
Necessary. This means something is required, essential, indispensable for a particular purpose or goal.
You can't do without it.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
It implies you can't achieve something without it. Like, sleep is necessary for good health. You can't be healthy without sleep.
Makes sense. Or a passport is necessary for international travel. It's just an unavoidable requirement.
Right. The emphasis is on that fundamental, unavoidable nature. It's essential in relation to a specific need or goal.
The practice example really drives this home. Studying is necessary if you want to pass the test.
Clear cause and effect.
And the follow-up adds a layer. True, practice is necessary for improvement too. It highlights the essential steps needed to get where you want to go.
Yeah. And what's interesting is how necessary can change, right?
Yeah.
Depending on your goals, your situation, even your values. What's necessary for one person isn't for another.
True. Okay, let's move to word 9, available. Available. This means something or someone is free to be used, accessed, or talked to.
It's ready for you, not busy.
Exactly. It indicates it's accessible, not currently occupied or in use. Like, the manager isn't available right now, means they're busy or not there.
Got it. Or tickets are available online, means you can easily get them on the internet. Right. The core idea is something being at your disposal, an object, a service, or crucially, someone's time.
The practice example is a very common use. Are you available to meet tomorrow morning?
We ask this all the time.
And the response clarifies, sorry, I'm not available then. How about afternoon? It clearly shows how available relates to scheduling and time accessibility.
It does. And it touches on how we manage our time and resources and how we communicate our accessibility, doesn't it?
Yeah, practical stuff. Okay, 10th word, frequent.
Frequent describes something that happens often or is repeated regularly over time.
A high rate of occurrence.
Yes. If you say she takes frequent breaks while working, it means she pauses regularly, not just once in a while.
Okay. Or, this cafe is a frequent meeting spot for us, suggests you go there many times, often.
Exactly. The key is that idea of repetition and regularity over time. It happens quite often.
The practice example illustrates this. I make frequent trips to the library to study.
Makes sense.
And the agreement. Same. Frequent visits help me stay focused. It highlights how those repeated actions help achieve a goal, like building focus.
Yeah. And thinking bigger, frequent, reminds us about consistency, doesn't it? And how repetition helps form habits and achieve long-term results.
The power of showing up often. Okay, word 11, consider.
Consider. This means to think carefully about something, to weigh different options or possibilities before deciding or forming an opinion.
So it's about the thinking process, evaluation.
Exactly. It involves that process. If someone says, I'm considering a new job offer, they're thinking about the pros and cons before deciding.
Right. Or we should consider the weather before planning the trip means we need to think about how the weather might affect things.
Precisely. The crucial part is that deliberate mental engagement, weighing factors before reaching a conclusion.
The practice example shows this process. Should I buy this laptop?
Common dilemma.
And the thoughtful response. I need to consider the price and features. Definitely consider reading reviews too. It highlights the different things you'd weigh up. Careful thought.
It does, and it makes you think about decision-making itself, right? The value of taking time to evaluate properly before you commit.
Definitely. Let's move to word 12. Maintain.
Maintain. This means to keep something in good condition, or to preserve it in a certain state, or to continue doing something consistently.
Often implies ongoing effort, right?
Very much so. Think of he maintains his car regularly. Means he keeps it clean, serviced, working well through ongoing checks.
Okay. Or it's hard to maintain a healthy diet. Highlights the continuous effort needed to eat well consistently.
Exactly. The core is that sustained effort and care. Preserving a state or continuing an action without letting it slip.
The practice example is relatable. I try to maintain my garden every weekend.
Requires upkeep.
And the follow-up. Same with my plants. Maintaining them takes effort, but it's worth it. Really emphasizes the continuous work involved.
It does. And it's interesting how much of life requires this maintaining our health, possessions, relationships. They all need ongoing attention.
So true. Okay, our 13th word, realize.
Realize. This means to become aware of something, to suddenly understand or comprehend a fact or situation.
Like a light bulb moment.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
It involves a shift from not knowing or not understanding to suddenly getting it.
For example, I realized I left my keys at home. That sudden awareness of the forgotten item.
Exactly. Or she realized her mistake and apologized. That moment of understanding led to an action.
So the key is that transition, that dawning awareness of something you weren't conscious of before.
Precisely. That moment of sudden comprehension.
The practice example captures this perfectly. I just realized today is a holiday, no work.
A happy realization.
And the slightly envious response. Lucky you, I didn't realize until I saw the calendar. Clearly highlights that sudden understanding.
It does. And it makes you think about perception, how new information or an insight can instantly change your understanding of something we were unaware of.
Fascinating. Word 14, impact.
Impact. This refers to a significant or strong effect or influence that something has on something else.
So a noticeable change or consequence.
Yeah, a notable one. Consider exercise has a big impact on your health, meaning a significant positive effect.
Okay. Or social media impacts how we communicate, suggests it has a strong influence on our habits.
Right. The core is that idea of a substantial, noticeable effect or influence coming from some action, event, or factor.
The practice example shows this clearly. Reading every day had a huge impact on my vocabulary.
That makes sense.
And the shared experience. Same, it impacted my confidence in speaking too. It really highlights that significant, maybe far-reaching effect of a consistent action.
It does. And connecting that more broadly, it reminds us that even small, consistent actions can add up to have a big impact over time, positive or negative.
Compound effect. Okay, word 15, recommend.
Recommend. This means to suggest something as being good, suitable, or useful.
Offering advice, a positive endorsement.
Exactly. Like, I recommend this cafe. You're suggesting it's good based on your experience.
Okay. Or doctors recommend drinking water every day. That's advice based on health benefits.
Right. The core is the act of suggesting something helpful, beneficial, or positive based on your judgment or knowledge.
The practice example is a common scenario. Can you recommend a good movie to watch?
It happens all the time.
And the helpful response, sure, I recommend this new comedy. It's really funny. A direct instance of suggesting something based on a positive opinion.
Straightforward. And it shows how we share info and guide each other through recommendations based on our experiences or expertise.
Sharing tips. Okay, 16th word, prefer.
Prefer means to like one thing more than another.
Expressing a choice. Showing what you like best.
Exactly. Indicating a greater liking for one option when compared to others. I prefer tea over coffee in the morning. States your choice.
Clear preference. Or she prefers walking to work instead of driving. Her favored way to commute.
Right. It's all about comparing options and saying which one you like more.
The practice example is a classic preference question. Do you prefer summer or winter vacations?
Personal taste.
And the clear statement. I prefer summer. I love the beach and sunshine. A straightforward expression of liking one more than the other based on enjoyment.
It is. And what's interesting about prefer is how our individual preferences shape our choices and reflect our unique tastes and values.
Defines this a bit. Okay, word 17, aware.
Aware means having knowledge or consciousness of something, being informed about a fact, situation, or event.
Like being in know.
Essentially, yes. Are you aware of the meeting tomorrow? Means, do you know it's scheduled?
Got it. Or he wasn't aware of the new policy. He didn't have knowledge of it.
Exactly. The core is that state of knowing or being informed, being conscious of something's existence or occurrence.
The practice example shows a practical use. I wasn't aware the store closes early today.
Oh dear.
And the helpful response, yes, I saw a sign, now you're aware, so we can hurry. Highlights that shift from unawareness to being informed about something important.
Right. And it touches on how we get, process, and act on information daily, and why being informed matters.
Definitely. Let's move to word 18, likely.
Likely. This means having a high probability of happening or being true. It suggests something is expected or probable.
Based on signs or evidence.
Yes, based on available evidence or circumstances. It's likely to rain this afternoon. Suggests high probability based on the weather signs.
Okay. Or she's likely to arrive late. Maybe a prediction based on her past habits?
Could be. The key is that element of probability and expectation. Assessing information to figure out the most probable outcome.
The practice example demonstrates this. Do you think they'll likely agree to the plan?
Assessing the odds.
And the optimistic response. Yes, it's likely they seemed interested yesterday, a prediction based on positive signs from before.
Makes sense. And it's interesting how we're constantly assessing probabilities, aren't we? Making daily predictions, often with incomplete information.
We do it all the time. Okay, 19th word. Despite.
Despite. This means in spite of something. Or notwithstanding. It's used to show a contrast.
Like something happens even though there's a reason it might not.
Exactly. She smiled despite feeling sad. The action contrasts with the emotion.
Okay. Or, despite the rain, we went hiking. Doing something in opposition to an unfavorable condition highlights resilience, maybe.
Yeah, or unexpected action. The core is highlighting that contrast. Something occurs or is true regardless of a potential opposing factor.
The practice example illustrates this well. Despite the noisy room, I finished my homework.
Impressive focus.
And the response, wow, that's impressive despite the distractions you focused, really emphasizes the contrast between the challenge and the success.
It does, and it makes you think about perseverance, right? Achieving goals even when facing obstacles.
Definitely. And finally, word number 20, although.
Although.
That's it.
This also introduces a contract like despite,
Yeah.
but it's used differently at the beginning of a clause.
Means even though or but.
Yes. It sets up a somewhat surprising or contrasting piece of information. Although it was cold, we didn't wear jackets. A surprising choice given the weather.
Okay. Or he agreed, although he wasn't happy about it. Agreement despite lack of enthusiasm.
Right. The key function is connecting two contrasting ideas or facts in a sentence, often highlighting that surprise or unexpectedness.
The practice example is very relatable. Although I love pizza, I'm trying to eat healthier.
A common conflict.
And the shared feeling, same, although it's hard, I'm sticking to salads, clearly highlights the contrast between a desire and an action driven by a different goal.
It does, and what's interesting about although is how it lets us express more nuanced, sometimes even contradictory thoughts or actions in one statement.
It's quite sophisticated.
Yeah.
So there you have it, 20 essential English words that, as you've heard, really do pop up all the time in everyday talk.
Absolutely. Mastering these words, it really can give you a significant boost. Not just in understanding, but also in your confidence expressing yourself clearly in all sorts of situations.
Just like the folks at English in Comfort suggested, we think it's a really worthwhile exercise for you too. Take a moment, reflect. How many of these 20 words were you already familiar with? You might surprise yourself.
It's a valuable check-in. Helps you see what you already know and maybe where a little more focus could help.
And on that note, here's a final thought for you to sort of chew on. Even with what might seem like a pretty small set of core words like these 20 we've looked at, you can unlock a surprisingly huge amount of understanding and communication in English.
It's true, the foundation is powerful.
So we really encourage you. Start paying closer attention. Notice just how frequently these words appear. In your daily chats, the news, movies, whatever English media you use, you might just be surprised by how foundational they truly are and how much more you can grasp just by focusing on these key building blocks.